All right, everybody, I am back. Hello. This is Greg Underdahl, Angling Uploaded, and I can't touch this table right now because I have such a lame tripod clamp phone holder system here, keeping this whole thing upright, and it's on the verge of completely breaking and falling apart. So I'm hopeful that I can get through this week of doing these wrap-ups, these recaps for Major League Fishing's Bass Pro Tour Stage 5 here on Sturgeon Bay, Wisconsin. But it's not looking good. So after this, I may have to just do everything handheld, which is fine, not the end of the world. But yes, so it's been, about a month since I've done one of these recap videos. And I am in here again. This is how I live. This is my amazing, actually, this is a pretty badass hotel room. This is like, what is it, like a kitchenette? What the heck is going on? Although I'm looking at the blinds in this room, and they kind of are a mess. I just noticed that. Anyway, I'll try to stay on track here. It's been a long day. So I'm going to just give a recap of my day on the water. So this would be Group A, elimination of Group A, the first day. Basically, we have 40 guys out today, and I was paired up with a guy named Dave Lefebvre, one of the first fans of Another Fishing Show. If you haven't seen Another Fishing Show, if you're kind of new to Angling Uploaded, make sure to check out the playlist Another Fishing Show, and you'll kind of see what I believe that we're kind of most proud of, our goofy kind of fishing show called Another Fishing Show. Check it out. Multi-fishing with one of my best friends in the world, Pete Wagner, and it's our nonsense as we go out fishing. So I must say too, this room, I didn't have the air conditioner on all day, so I got back from being on the water filming. I get back and this room is crazy hot, and I just had to so I didn't have the air conditioner on stupidly. And I first got here, I turned the air conditioner on, but then of course I had to turn it off because it's so loud. So now I'm just baking. So I'm going to have to do this in a somewhat quick fashion. It's not going to be quick. I just ramble. But I do want to tell you about my day. It was a good day. I got my notes here. I have a terrible memory. But I want to go through my day, give you my recap of the Bass Pro Tour on Sturgeon Bay, Wisconsin. So here we go. So I was paired up with Dave Lefebvre. And I've worked with Dave before. Like I said, Dave is I got to know Dave because he let me know. I'm not going to go through the whole story, but he's been a fan of what we're doing here, specifically Another Fishing Show. So Dave, when I met him at the Sturgeon Bay, I don't know what the official name is, but there's a ramp here where all of us, the camera guys and the fishermen, met up in the morning. Unfortunately, I was supposed to get in the truck with Dave, but he didn't have enough room. All this, like a lot of fishermen, they have a lot of stuff in their truck. So I had to follow Dave up to, this is the thing that was cool about this event too. So this is going to be the whole week. These guys can trailer to their fishing locale. So I followed Dave. It was a 45-minute drive to the ramp where he wanted to put in. Basically, 45 minutes kind of. So Sturgeon Bay is on the Green Bay Peninsula. Maybe they call it the Door County Peninsula, but this is a giant peninsula that goes into Lake Michigan, juts northward into Lake Michigan. And so I'm heading Sturgeon Bay. I'm heading north, 45 minutes following Dave Lefebvre to where he's going to launch his boat. And let's see here. So that was kind of unique. Getting to this ramp was really, it was like in this, it it was like in this like a state park kind of system, and it was a labyrinth like you wouldn't believe. I was like, this is nuts, trying to get to this ramp. But eventually we got there, and we put in, and I think we probably had 45 minutes until lines in, until the start of the tournament. So I had some time to kind of talk about, different stuff, just BS. But one thing, the boat official that was assigned for the day to Dave, Dave told him that he looked like Joe Diffie, which there was some resemblance to Joe Diffie, I'd say. And so, but what's funny about that, both of us, Dave and I, we just kind of launched into this. I think probably the most well-known Joe Diffie song, which I think, I don't know what the name is, but I know the song. Prop me up beside the jukebox if I die. So you know that song, I want to go to heaven, I don't want to go tonight. Okay, so we launch into that song, just this beautiful duet, and I believe that Dave was recording it with his GoPro. So if you check out Dave Lefebvre's, I believe his YouTube channel is called Erie Extreme. Hopefully you'll see our duet on his YouTube channel, so check it out. So that was like the first thing that kind of was interesting about the day, I would say. Dave was fishing, so the tournament starts, and I've got my rain gear on. It's spitting rain, and actually it wasn't as windy really as I was thinking it could be. So it was wavy, and obviously a bass boat is a bass boat is a terrible rough water boat. It's not designed for rough water, so it's not like it was a comfortable boat ride out there, but it wasn't as bad as Sturgeon Bay can get. I've been out here a few times, and I know how bad it can be. But Dave started offshore, and he was fishing a Ned rig offshore in about 14 feet of water, and he was kind of graphing around a little bit and marking waypoints where he'd see on his side scan where if he'd see like a boulder or something like that, he'd mark a waypoint, and then he'd fish that with the Ned rig. He did throw a jerkbait, suspending jerkbait a little bit, but none of that panned out. He went in shallower to fish docks with the Ned rig, and that didn't really pan out until right at the end of the first period, right at the end. I mean, I think he had like a minute left, maybe even less than a minute. He was able to catch his first scoreable bass. So because the fishing was tough for him, I was then moved to another angler. So in the break, they extended the breaks. Typically between periods there's a 15-minute break. But because this body of water is so vast, they needed more time for the breaks to allow for people like me to be transferred to other anglers. So I was moved. First of all, I'm so exhausted, number one. But I'm dehydrated, and I'm also very hot right now. It's getting to be like a sauna in this room. But so they moved me to Josh Bertrand, and Josh, was a ways away from us. And Josh was fishing much farther offshore than Dave was. So Dave was fishing about 14 feet of water when he was fishing offshore. Josh was fishing in 24 plus feet. So much farther offshore. And getting to him, by this time the wind had started picking up, and it was a very uncomfortable boat ride. I mean, this is in a 21-foot nitro. This is like a big boat, And yet, you know, when you come down, I mean, sometimes you come down on a wave and it's nice and soft like a pillow. A lot of times you're just like, you know, it's like this jarring like slap of the boat hull in the waves, and it's just like compressing your vertebrae. And you guys, if you've ever experienced this in a rough water or bass boat riding, you know what I'm talking about, or driving or whatever. And that happened a few times. You know, I'm getting up there in age now. When I was younger, I used to think this was fun and adventurous, you know, but I got to admit, when you come down hard like a slap, it really, really sucks. So, gosh, I think we spent the whole break 30, maybe 45 minutes, maybe even more than that, 50 minutes getting to Josh. And so I was I don't know if nervous is too strong a word, but it's always a little bit dicey in rough water making a transfer. I've done a lot of walleye tournaments. I've filmed a lot of walleye tournaments, and that's even worse because walleye guys, you know, they're fishing even farther offshore than bass guys, and they're not as worried about rough water. They have bigger boats, so that can be even more of a challenge. But this was a challenge enough. But I was able to kind of, the right time, jump over Josh's rods on the deck, and everything worked out. So I'm in the boat with Josh, and first off, Josh, I've worked with Josh before. He's from Arizona, and they put me in the boat with Josh because he was moving way up in the standings. And before we even got into the boat, we're watching him from a distance, and he's nailing fish. I mean, I can see him catching 2-3 fish as we're getting closer and closer to him. So he was on fire. I got in the boat with him, and luckily he continued to be on fire. That didn't stop, because that's one thing about what I do. Sometimes I'm a bad omen for some anglers. You know, if I hop in the boat and then all of a sudden they start sucking, the fishing starts sucking, then I typically will get the blame. So there's always a little bit of apprehension there, you know. Okay, so where were we here? So Josh is a Berkeley guy, and if you've seen any of my videos, especially fishing for smallmouth, I am a huge Berkeley guy, specifically power bait guy. Very young in my career as a fisherman, 17 years old, I want to say I was, 17, 18. I experienced a fishing excursion on a quarry near my hometown. Very clear body of water, very deep, like most quarries, I'd say. And it had smallmouth in it, and you'd try to catch them on, you know, artificial lures, you know, like soft plastics, and it was like very hard to catch these fish. Come on, computer. It was very hard to catch these smallmouth. I mean, it was like nearly impossible. One day I put on a 7-inch power worm, and it was like night and day difference. The fish, they would investigate the worm, and if it was just a regular plastic worm, say a non-power bait plastic worm, they would just kind of move away from it. That power worm, I witnessed this. They would investigate the worm, and then they would smell that power bait, and then they were sold. And so immediately, it was a night and day difference fishing that quarry, going from like, you know, mediocre success on artificials to like catching fish on a regular basis on Berkeley power bait. And so ever since that day, I've been a proponent of Berkeley power bait, and the technology's only gotten better. So today. And then the other thing too, so then they eat it and they hold on longer. So there's a two-prong benefit to power bait, okay? And it's almost, I'm to the point now, with a few exceptions, but I'm basically going to use almost exclusively power bait for soft plastics for the rest of my fishing career. So I wanted to. So basically, what Josh was doing is he was doing a lot of vertical jigging with a drop shot. He'd also kind of do little pitches with it away from the boat a bit. He was using the Panoptics from Garmin to see them, like the live scope. It was live scope. Garmin, right? Yeah, Garmin live scope. I think that's right. Garmin live scope. So he's using that. He could see where the fish were, and then he would kind of pitch or just drop right down to him. He'd see him on his graph too. Drop right down to him with a drop shot. And this right here, which is the Berkley Power Bait Max Scent Flatworm. That's it right there. He was drop shotting that. And that was one of the colors that he was using. These are actually his lures. These are his dead soldiers, if you will, that he was using today. And it's just it's kind of a unique, well, it's not, I don't know if it's unique as far as the shape necessarily. It's kind of looks like most of your drop shotting baits, but it's this material. It's got that power bait scent in it, more so like a gulp scent, which is even like, it's like, gulp is like power bait times, I don't know, like they say it's like 400 times or something like that. It's better, the scent is better with gulp. It's better than power bait, and power bait is damn good, I'm telling you. So what makes this special, it's got, for drop shotting, it is pretty limber, which I really like. I think that's a good thing. It's soft, but it's how they're making these, that it's it doesn't dry out like gulp, but it's got all the great attributes of gulp and power bait. And I know that sounds like this sounds like a damn commercial. I'm not trying to make it sound like a commercial, but it's, if you've not tried power bait, I'm telling you, specifically for smallmouth, you got to do it. It's the real deal, no BS. I'm telling you. So he used the black color a little bit. He was primarily using this more green pumpkin color, and then I think he was also this. Obviously, this is one of the baits, one of the colors he used too. It's almost like a shad color, and that's the top guys today were fishing this flatworm, Berkley Power Bait Max Scent Flatworm. So that should tell you something. So let's see what else. So Josh went way offshore for his last spot, and he found them good on this last spot. He lost a big fish. I don't know if any 5-pounders were caught. There's 5, 6, 7-pounders in this fishery. We're not tapping into those real big fish yet. I believe where Josh was fishing his last spot today could be one of those spots. He didn't have much time on it, but he went way offshore. Gosh, I think he was fishing 30 feet, and he lost a fish that could have been in that 5, 6, who knows, pound class. So he's gonna, he's got a real good chance of doing very well in this tournament. And it makes me wonder. It's like, you look at a Great Lake and it's so vast, and he's catching these fish so far offshore. He's in 30 feet of water. It's like, how far offshore can you go and keep on catching smallmouth? And they're probably less pressured out there. And who knows what you can tie into. I mean, it's vast. It's absolutely vast. So Josh placed in second, and now he's going to be nipping at Justin Lucas's heels. Justin is in first place right now. Justin had a heck of a day. Both of those guys were way over 100 pounds for the day. Incredible day. I mean, 2+ pound, multiple 3 and 4 pounders, like crazy today. So Josh, I just want to say this. Josh is one of these anglers that, of all of the newer, younger anglers that are out there, and I'm a older dude now. I've been following bass fishing for years and years and years, since the late 80s, okay? But these young guys, there's a hell of a crop here. Jordan Lee, Jacob Wheeler. I put Josh Bertrand right in there. He's efficient. He's aggressive, but he's laid back. He doesn't let stuff rattle him, you know. And that's a huge deal. It's a huge deal. He's got a great disposition, a great demeanor, and he's a super, I can't emphasize this enough, and I don't mean to say this all the time because maybe I do that, but I'm telling you, he's a really nice guy, and I'll show you an example of this. So, as I said, I followed Dave Lefebvre to the place where he wanted to launch his boat in the morning, okay? So I parked my car there. Well, I ended the day with Josh Bertrand. Josh launched his boat several miles north of there. And I was like, Josh, I kind of have a problem here. I don't know how I'm going to get to my car. And Josh was like, don't worry about it, dude. He's like, I'll drive your car. You know, I'll drop you off. I'm like, well, I got to tell you something. I'm parked in like this crazy labyrinth, like this state park, which is a labyrinth you got to go through until you finally get to the ramp. And he was cool with it. And we kind of got like, my GPS wasn't working on my phone. We kind of got lost in this park as it's, like I said, it's a labyrinth. We had to ask a cop where this boat ramp was. Finally found the boat ramp, and I was very grateful. And the whole time he's nothing but a gentleman. So I wanna thank him, you know, for doing that. And it was, yeah, he's just an impressive guy. I also just want to mention too, when we were pulling out the boat today, when we were leaving. Most bass fishermen, most fishermen power load their boat onto their ramp, right? Well, there was a gentleman at the ramp who saw Josh doing this, and he was a jerk about, he didn't like the fact that Josh was power loading, and he was a jerk about it. And, you know, I think this is important to say this, because this guy gave us attitude, was a jerk to Josh, and I told him, I said, hey dude, why do you have to act that way? Why couldn't you just say, excuse me sir, we don't actually allow power loading, so the next time if you could just, you know, not power load, and that'll be good, that'd be fine, it's better for our ramp here. That would have been much better to say, but no, this dude's got to be a jerk about it and start you know, giving him giving Josh a hard time. So I basically just said, hey dude, you know, let's try to be nicer, and you didn't have to use that tone, you know. And the guy shut up and he didn't say anything. You could tell as he's walking away, I think he felt bad. So mission accomplished. Thought I'd just share that with you. The point being there is just, you know, listen, I have my issues. I can fly off the handle, as you can probably imagine. We got to be better to one another. We got to be nicer to one another, okay? Seriously. Especially in this day and age. Okay. So, where was I? I want to say this too. So, Pete and I, if you've ever watched another fishing show, you know my partner in crime, Pete Wagner. We're going to start back our Another Fishing Show podcast soon, and I wanted to promote. So Josh Bertrand has a podcast called Anglers Happy Hour. First of all, I love the name of it. Check it out. Search Anglers Happy Hour. I think they're on YouTube, the social medias, the pod. You know, go on iTunes, whatever. Check it out. I want to start listening to what they're doing. I love, like I said, that's Anglers Happy Hour. That's right up my alley, the name of it. So maybe down the road, maybe Josh and I, we can, with Pete, we can do another fishing show / Anglers Happy Hour podcast collaboration, which would be pretty cool. So I need to wrap this up, but tomorrow, check it out live. Major League Fishing Bass Pro Tour back on the water starts at 8 a.m. Central. I'm going to be with the Hammer, Jordan Lee. I mean, what else is there to say? Very much looking forward to that. So check it out. Also, if you haven't subscribed, if you've just learned about Angling Uploaded, check out our videos. If you like what you see, be sure to subscribe. I say this all the time, but I really mean this. If you like what we're doing here, support us by subscribing. Hope you guys are doing well, staying safe. I will see you tomorrow.